Hello, hello, hello. It's been a couple of weeks since we last heard from Norm Winski. We've had some important things going on in the markets. I'm anxious to hear what he has to say. Norm, it's all yours.
Thank you very much, Jeff. Uh, I was last on the 9th of October and gave a few forecasts, a few forecasting astro points for that week. We're going to review those quickly now. On the afternoon of the 10th, we have Pluto in Capricorn, turn direct. That's the opposite retrograde, if you're familiar with that. And Pluto has to do with cocoa, hogs, and T-bonds. And because it's in Capricorn, that also brings in coffee. Before I go any further, let me just mention stocks potentially respond to all these events. Then the night of the 11th, we have geocentric. That's from the point of view of the Earth. Mars entering Scorpio, and that has to do with cocoa, hogs, and T-bonds. Then we had Jupiter to the U.S. chart, and that was for stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar. And then the weekend of the 13th, we had the solar eclipse. And Libra, solar eclipse is just a special kind of new moon where everything lines up almost perfectly, and then the moon blocks the sun and so forth, gets in between the earth and the sun, and so the sun is blocked out for a short amount of time. Anyway, so that's a new moon, full moon. We always look at financials, grains, precious metals, and because it was in Libra, we'll be looking at sugar and wheat. Here's our first chart is corn. We had the lunar event there, a solar eclipse over the weekend of the 13th, so we'll be looking at the opening of the next trading day. And you see that we were near that. This was an exact double top here to the fraction. And so if you sold against that top, you had a chance to make a small amount of money. Here's the beans were a little bit better, a little clearer in that they pulled back here into the solar eclipse, and you had a very nice rally in beans. That's about 80, 40, no, I make that about 40 cents is about $2,000 in about a week. Here's wheat is pretty clear, rally right into the solar eclipse there, made a top there, a little short-term top, and pulled back, and that's about 80, 70, about 17 cents, about $800-900. And here's sugar. Here's a miss. Now notice the green arrows. Those gave you an opportunity to make some money within one trading day. Here we had where it just went sideways and then up, and so you could have had a loss there. So that's a miss, and that's a red arrow. Here the coffee was pulling down into our Pluto point, and you see that was the low of the month. Yep, that's the low of the month, low day of the month. And if you bought there, you would have been very happy because within about a week, you were up about 20 cents on coffee, which translates to about $7,500 per contract. Here's your cocoa, making a short-term top there, went a little tiny bit higher the next day and then down. So you had a chance to make a little bit of money there. And hogs, here's a miss here. Hogs just kept going down, 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 looking for that trough. You know, the hogs always looking for that trough. Little joke there, Jeff. All right, now we're rallying up the silver into this top here, and we're going sideways and then up. So that's not good. So that's a miss. And the same thing pretty much with the gold. And here's your S&P. We have our Pluto point there, and that was a day early. And then we went over here for our Mars in Scorpio. That was the high. They were a very nice high. You dropped about 80 handles there from that high to that low. And if you sold there, then you made about 60 handles or so from there to there. And then over here, we're at near a low and on the solar eclipse. And then you popped up there. Looks like you could have made possibly about 60 handles there. So there's a lot of money to be grabbed there. Okay, here's December T-bonds. Our Pluto point there was just a little bit early over here on the Mars in Scorpio point. That was the high of the month for T-bonds. And you came down here for our U.S. point the night of the 12th into the 13th. That was a low, and then we made another high on the solar eclipse. And then the bonds, up until about a day or so ago, were decimated. Here's the U.S. dollar index, rallied up here into our U.S. point, made a high there, and it kind of hung up there for a day, and you had a chance to sell that against that point on the solar eclipse, and then it pulled down. And the other currencies were even better. Look at this Aussie dollar. You went down right into the solar eclipse, made a low there, and had a nice rally. British pound did pretty, not as good as the Aussie dollar, but still you had a chance to make some nice money. And here's the euro, was really nice. Made a low there right on the solar eclipse window, and then up, up, up. Here's the Japanese yen, went kind of sideways, and then had a big pop up on the following day. And there you go. So we had 17 winners, 5 misses out of 22 for 77.27% winners. Just in case you missed last time, I quickly reviewed my forecasts I did for September. I do these every month. Been doing this for 40, 45 years or more. By the way, speaking of 45 years, the end of this month will mark the 45th anniversary of my market leader Astro Trend, which I started on October 31 of 1978. So that'll be 45 years when I was on the floor of the Chicago Board Options Exchange. Some of my fellow traders asked me if I wouldn't be willing to share some of my intraday times with them, and that's how the letter got started. Here we go. We got the end of August and the end of September. I draw this blue line a week or two in advance, and then as we go through the month, I overlay the 10-minute S&P index bar chart on top of that, and you see we had a pretty nice correlation there. And there we go. So now here's what's coming up this week. We got a big week coming up here, 4 big events. Starting tonight, the 23rd, tonight into tomorrow's opening, we're looking at Venus cycle, which is cattle, copper, cotton, sugar, wheat. Again, stocks potentially respond to all these events. And then the night, the 24th, we have Moon, the Moon's North Node to the U.S. Mercury. That's a U.S. point, stocks, T-bonds, U.S. dollar. And then the night, also that night, the night of the 24th will be tomorrow night. We have another Venus cycle for cattle, copper, cotton, sugar, wheat. And then the night of the 26th, we have a Mercury point, and Mercury is the grains, corn, soybeans, wheat. And then at the end of the week, over the weekend, we have a lunar eclipse in Taurus, another lunar event, new moon, full moon. This is a special kind of full moon. So you want to look at financial, green, precious metals. And because it's in the sign of Taurus, that'll be also cattle and cotton. If you're not familiar with me, I've been doing this a long, long time. This is 45 years. I should update that. Probably closer to 50 years. And I started on the CBOE there in 1975. And as I said, I started this letter in 1978. So I've been doing this a long time and got a lot of experience. And, and I've been batting, if you'd like to contact me, I'll show you my numbers back to about 2016, where I average over 70% winning signals. And if you're not doing 70%, you should contact me so you can be doing 70%. And if you're doing better than that, I'd love to hear from you anyway and hear how you're doing that. I appreciate it. So anyway, looking forward to helping some of the folks, Jeff. Here's my phone number here in beautiful Naples, Florida, 239-594-3939. That's N Winski, Nwinski, @yahoo.com. Or you can call me on Skype at Nwinski_1. Looking forward to helping some of the folks. Please call me right away. This is my deadline weekend where at the end of the week be sending out the November letter. And so the sooner you contact me, the more time I will have to talk to you. All right. Everybody have a great week. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Norm, another great 2 weeks as always, and we'll see you back pretty soon.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.